My symptoms would not lead anybody to believe that I was having a problem with a heart valve, or they weren't symptoms like a heart attack or a stroke or anything. It was just, I thought exhaustion, and I came home after traveling for the day and having a family get together and felt like I was coughing constantly. I could not rest, couldn't sleep, couldn't stop coughing, and it got to the point where I got up in the middle of the night and I was looking for cough syrup, trying to find something to relieve that pressure that was building up in my chest, and I passed out. So kind of sat down in a chair and told my husband I'm really not doing well, and they were thinking about taking me to urgent care, but it eventually got so bad that I went to the ER, or they took me to the ER. And initially they were thinking, yes, this does seem like pneumonia symptoms. So eventually one of the doctors did do tests that determined that my mitral valve had ruptured. So it was pretty serious. I was in congestive heart failure, and they tried for 3 days to kind of get some of that fluid out of my system, and then just realized we better just go ahead and do the surgery. So there's a lot going on in that 3-4 day period of time before they could eventually do the open heart surgery. I remember chest x-rays. They must have done echocardiograms to determine that the valve had ruptured, and probably lots of other tests too. But it's pretty apparent that I was going to need open heart surgery as soon as possible. Coming out of anesthesia and being aware of teams of people, respiratory therapists and physical therapists and 24-hour nursing care, and having blood drawn, I think every 2 minutes, or finger prick for Coumadin levels, blood thinners, things like that. It's pretty intense and pretty high-profile team of people that just felt like they were on top of every heartbeat, every blood pressure, every test that had to be taken. Somebody was right there 24 hours a day. There were a lot of other patients in the Cub unit, but I felt like personally everybody was there just for me, and they took very good care of whatever I needed. And I'd go walking down the hall after a surgery to kind of move around and exercise, and everybody on the team would stop and say, "Oh, good to see you walking," and glad that you're up and around. And they just care for you like family, and they treated my family like their own. Just fabulous. I couldn't wait to give everybody a hug. I was very grateful to have that care in that facility, and didn't think I'd ever need intensive care for anything, maybe when I was much, much older, but I couldn't have been in a better place. The Cub unit was just, we're fortunate to be in Jackson and very lucky to have the heart surgeons that we did, and I still brag about it all the time. I tell everybody what a fabulous place to be if you need cardiac surgery or any kind of intensive care involving your heart. That's the place to go. I guess a couple of days after my surgery, I was encouraged to get up and use the restroom on my own, and one of the nurses was kind of laughing with my daughter, saying, "I can't believe he's doing that." And what turns out was Dr. Simonetti has a application on his cell phone, apparently, where he can monitor all his patients post-op and see how their blood pressure, how their stats look. And he must have called the Cub unit and talked to my nurse and said, "What's going on? Why is their blood pressure changing or going up?" or whatever happened at the time, because I had just gotten up to use the restroom and the nurse was kind of laughing, saying, "He just needs to calm down and everything's under control." But he was so concerned. He wanted to find out how I was doing and if I needed anything and checking my stats. And he just seemed like a very humble man, but so professional and so caring that everybody that has had contact with him, you just feel like you want to give him a big hug and thank him for everything that he did, his expertise. And I'm sure he would say, well, it was the team, everybody that works with me was what made things happen so well. So it's got a very high pressure, difficult job, but it must feel really good to help bring someone back to life. I do think about this a lot with our first grandbaby due like 3 months after my surgery. I was so grateful to be around for that mainly, but to be able to travel. I was cleared like a couple days before I got on a plane and flew out to California to witness my grandson's birth, and just thinking about not being able to do that. It's a big deal. Those were happy times. And everything after that, I do think about holding him and being able to go back to work and enjoy time with my family and baking pies and having get-togethers with just cooking and enjoying shopping and hopefully seeing my grandson in a few months again for his first birthday. It's a huge event to look forward to, so. Thank you.